Hi. Have you ever felt like you're just drifting, following routines, and then suddenly something shakes you awake? Midlife is often that wake up call, but self awareness is a tool that can help us to make the most of it. Let's explore 5 simple ways to wake up and take control. I used to think that if I just kept pushing forward, eventually I'd get to where I wanted to be. But when I lost my job at 50 and life suddenly changed again, I had the chance to stop and ask myself, is this cycle even right for me? And the answer was clear. No, it wasn't. And that moment begged another question. If not now, then when? But then came the really hard part. If this wasn't my path, then what was? And let me tell you, I had no idea. You could have heard a metaphorical pin drop. At first, I just did what was familiar. I scrolled through job specs, updated my CV, and convinced myself all I needed was a fresh start. But something felt decidedly off. And a few months later, during an online retreat, I was introduced to a process that changed that for me. A life timeline exercise. We were asked to map out major events in our life: wins, losses, surprises, shocks, moments of joy, moments of disappointment. The eras, the places, the people, the skills that shaped us. And this is something that you can do for yourself. It's not about dwelling in the past, it's about making sense of where you are now so you can decide what's next. All you need is about 15 minutes of quiet time, a notepad or a large piece of paper, and map your major life events. So that's the biggest wins, hardest challenges, unexpected changes, and try looking for patterns. Do you see recurring cycles, key turning points? Then mark where you are today. What's working? What's not? What feels off track? Choose one small action based on what you see. One way I can realign my life is by, you don't need to figure out everything all at once. Just start noticing. And if the insights don't come immediately, add to your timeline over the next week or so. See what emerges. That's what I did. I added things bit by bit over the course of a week. And rather than just writing a list, I got creative. My timeline started looking like a treasure map, a series of islands representing phases of my life. My first islands were places that I'd lived, with arrows to people, wins, losses. I saw the times I'd won prizes and the times I'd missed out, felt left out. The more I added, the clearer the patterns became. There were times that I'd thrived and times I felt completely lost. And as I looked at the big full picture, I realised that the story I'd been telling myself wasn't entirely true. I'd been focusing on the struggles and the setbacks, but I'd also overcome so much and learned so much. And more importantly, I was able to start imagining a different story moving forwards. My timeline wasn't just about understanding my past, it became my starting point for writing my next chapter. Understanding where I was gave me the clarity I needed to start imagining where I wanted to be next. And that's the first step for anyone asking, where am I really? Do you remember that movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off and the line, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. He's not wrong. After re-evaluating my life, another question started ringing in my ears. What really matters to me now? For years, I'd prioritised security and achievement. But as I'd mapped my timeline, I'd noticed something. I'd moved so far away from my youthful dreams of freedom, travel, like-minded connections. Not only that, but I was largely unsatisfied with what I had achieved and disconnected from people that I'd known. That's when I stumbled across my gratitude app. I'd read about how practicing gratitude can bring us back to ourselves and enjoy life more just by appreciating what we actually have. And I was curious, but honestly, at first, it was hard. I ignored the randomized prompts and just wrote the same sentence. I am grateful for my family, for my home, for my health, on repeat. Over time, though, I started paying more attention to the prompts as they seemed more relevant to me. And this led to longer reflections rather than just ticking the box. But I still skipped the hard ones. Anything about career? Nope. About friendship? Nope. Basically, something inside me just curled up inside when I thought about those things, and I couldn't think of anything good to write about. But then, again, something shifted, and I thought, you know what? Challenge accepted. And I dug through all my experiences to find matches for those prompts. And if I still struggled, then I'd just imagine what the gratitude would be like if I had that career or that friendship. And I could shift my focus from what was lacking to how things could change. And when I did that, everything started shifting. I started storing photos against my entries. I started reading the Daily Zen articles, designing affirmations, created a vision board, added reminders to reset my focus throughout the day. And eventually, over days and weeks and months, finally years, I could see how much my mindset had shifted. And you can practice gratitude with something as simple as a daily tracker, just noting one thing that you're grateful for each day and see how your awareness changes over time. You can make it more fun, adding it to a jar, a tree, a notice board. And if you take the time to read them back, you'll start noticing patterns, things that truly bring you joy. But even before then, that feel-good factor, it kicks in pretty quickly. Practicing gratitude didn't just help me appreciate my life, it helped me to discover what really matters to me. And I started sharing gratitude posts with my family so they'd know how much they mean to me. And I uncovered what I truly value in myself, in my relationships, in my space. But my biggest realization, gratitude isn't just about being thankful. It's about gaining clarity on what truly brings us joy. Do you ever find yourself wishing that phrase, less haste, more speed, was a little less true? Bringing myself back to what truly matters felt grounding and so good. And I was longing to jump into my next chapter. Get going already. But the more I tried to rush forward, the clearer it became. My ability to move ahead didn't just depend on external factors, but also on how well I was connected within myself. And as someone who likes to see results, being patient while the seeds I'd planted grew was frustrating. I kept feeling held back, stuck, tested, and honestly, it stressed me out. I'd never got into mindfulness. I'd thought of it as needing to set aside an hour, follow a routine, do it properly. And it seemed like just another thing to get right, until I started learning about Ikigai, our reason for being. And I realised then that purpose can be as simple as luxuriating in that first drink of the day. And that's when it clicked. By losing myself fully in a moment, I was already experiencing meditation. I just hadn't seen it that way. But once I understood this, I could flip a switch and tune out the noise of life by tuning in to a specific task. I'd simply listen more keenly with my senses, and suddenly the peace was right there. Mindfulness became my off switch. Meditation doesn't have to be formal. It's more about being a human being rather than a human doing. For me, the easiest way to tune in is walking, listening to music. playing a game, enjoying a meal. And if I want to go deeper, I create something, a picture, an article, a video. I lose time completely. And when I'm in that state, nothing else is in my awareness. And that's when I realise mindful moments don't just bring peace, they help us break free from that exhausting, well-worn thought paths that our thoughts run on. They give us space and they let peace in. The more mindful moments you can enjoy, the more peace will find you. You know the saying, don't judge a book by its cover? It turns out it's truer than we realise. The way we see life, our assumptions, our old stories can really skew our decisions if we don't stop to wake up and challenge them. Feedback helps us to see what we're missing. After reconnecting with myself through mindfulness, I finally had the mental space to look at some of my decisions more clearly. And you know what? A lot of them weren't decisions. They were default settings, things that I had absorbed from others until they became internal truths without me even questioning them. One big one, my belief that I couldn't live abroad until I had my career figured out, until I was at the right place in life. And I wasn't even questioning it. In fact, I'd started revisiting my dream, but in my mind it was all or nothing. I'd already settled on Portugal, I'd been there before, I had the rudiments of the language, and it felt like a natural choice. But between worldwide COVID restrictions and my desire to go the golden visa route, my plans got bogged down to a complete standstill and I never got started. That's when my brother casually said, "But you could just go travelling for a few weeks." That one sentence changed everything. Suddenly, I was looking at my options, not my obstacles. Within days, I was Googling where I could go visa-free. So I went back to the drawing board. Safe places for female solo travellers. And before I knew it, I'd found somewhere I could be for 3 months. Ta-da! And here's the thing, I never would have even considered it if it hadn't been for that small nudge. That's how feedback works. Sometimes our absolute, unquestioned assumptions are the ones that are holding us back the most. But when we ask for feedback, whether it's from a friend in a chat or more formally from a mentor, somebody else's perspective can be the trowel that breaks the soil. It can help us pull out those thought weeds that are stifling us. And yes, feedback can be uncomfortable. It can be jarring when somebody points out something that we haven't seen in ourselves. But if we're open to it, it can transform our decision making. So what about you? Is there a belief that you haven't questioned? Something that might be shaping your life without you even realising it? Try asking someone you trust for honest feedback. Their insight could be the sunlight that finally helps you to see what's been in your blind spot all along. Have you noticed that as time goes by, the words "life isn't about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself" become ever truer? After the process of learning life's feedback, to take life's feedback in a better way, I started making more intentional decisions. And instead of running on default settings, I was now asking better questions. Where am I going next? What do I need to get there? And that's when the next phase of my journey kicked in. I needed a way to track my thoughts, explore my ideas, process my own answers. And for me, journaling was the obvious tool. Since I was already gratitude journaling, adding self-reflection felt like a natural step. Journaling helped me in big ways. It gave me a space to dump my thoughts, completely uncensored, and it allowed me to reflect on my past entries, recognise patterns, and over time, I could literally see how my thinking had evolved. Journaling is like a time capsule of self-awareness. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can write a paragraph, a line, an emoji. You're just capturing a moment, a perspective, the answer to a question. And it doesn't have to be on paper. A pen, a keyboard, voice notes, they all work. Do whatever feels right for you because you're your own project. When I realised I wanted to work for myself, journaling helped me to explore, to research my options, to process my fears and excitement. And when I decided to travel, journaling helped me to track my research, get clear on my why, and capture my thoughts as I navigated the journey. Writing it down gave me clarity. The act of articulating my thoughts helped my brain to process them. It was a feedback loop within myself, refining and solidifying my own thoughts. Journaling is the perfect tool for continuous self-awareness because that's exactly what self-awareness is. It never ends because we're always evolving, and tracking change is powerful. As we get to know and create ourselves more intentionally, we realise the best journey is the one within, because that's the journey that grows us, shapes us, and helps us to bloom. Self-awareness is the key to understanding that the most important thing isn't where we are now, it's that we start paying attention. Pick one of these 5 areas and try the exercise for yourself. There are infographics and a PDF workbook in the description for you to work with. Leave a comment and let us know how you get on, and visit our channel if you'd like to explore more. And until then, keep living and loving your life.